A lot of people don't even understand what perfect electric is. It could be one of the hardest things to execute in video game, full stop. Full stop, if you want to talk about difficult execution in gaming. He does down for 2. It counter hits. We observe it counter hits. And now we have to wait for him to fully recover. And when he's fully recovered on that exact frame, you do your triple just frame. I think it took me 2 hours to do it once. 2 hours to do that once. Perfect electric on arcade stick. A lot of people don't even understand what perfect electric is. I've seen and that's my fault maybe, because I should be making guides on it, but I know some people think this is an electric and this is a perfect electric, but it's more like this is a wind god fist and this is a normal electric, and that's just frame. And to do that, you just do a crouch dash, but you press down forward and 2 on the exact same frame, and you get an electric, but that's a normal electric. A perfect electric is when every single part of the input is executed frame perfect. There are 2 variations. The most common one is skipping neutral. So you press forward on the first frame, on the second frame you press down, and on the third frame you press down for 2. So that's 3 inputs in a row that are frame perfect. And the final part, down for 2, down for then 2 are hit on the exact same frame. This is a triple just frame. And that's a perfect electric. And it's super fucking hard. An electric is a true just frame. So in 1/60th of a second, you are hitting down for then 2 on the same frame. That's very hard to do. But a perfect electric is a triple just frame. And the added difficulty is that when you want to do it from a down for 2, you are not allowed to buffer electrics. It could be one of the hardest things to execute in video game, full stop. Full stop, if you want to talk about difficult execution in gaming. So it's a triple just frame, and you have to wait for the down for 2 here, the abolishing fist. You need to wait for it to recover fully. You cannot buffer on electric. You see the attack startup, 11 frames. This means that the animation itself of the electric is 11 frames. But we're not counting in the execution here of the attack, right? If it was bufferable, this would mean that even when I'm locked into an animation, I would be able to start the execution of it. This, if it was bufferable, Asusina here could be -11, do an attack that's -11 on block, and I could punish with an electric, because the animation is 11 frames. Bufferable means when I'm in a block stagger or any type of animation, recovering from an attack, I can start inputting my electric. And then it can come out as soon as I'm done with my recovery. That's a bufferable attack. Brian's jet upper is bufferable. This means that anytime someone is -14 on block, you will get jet uppered by Brian. 100%, because it's bufferable. Whereas when you're -14 against Kazuya, the only Kazuyas who will launch you with an electric now are like the top execution Kazuya players. Like my good friend Habibi. He will launch you at -14 more often than you won't. As an expert Mishima player myself, I can tell you that that's like 1 in 1,000 Kazuya players. No exaggeration. For dramatic purposes, it's 1 in 1,000. To do down for 2, so that's abolishing fist into perfect electric, you have to wait until the exact frame Kazuya has recovered from down for 2. He does down for 2, it counter hits, we observe it counter hits, and now we have to wait for him to fully recover, and when he's fully recovered on that exact frame, you do your triple just frame. Forward, down, down for 2, triple just frame. On the exact frame. So wait until the exact frame of recovery, and then do your triple just frame. And that's why this is the hardest technique in the game. You know, you're lucky if you can get this consistent on one side. Lucky, most people can't. And then, you know, just forget about getting it consistent on both sides. It's just, it's that difficult. So when you ask me what is some advice on getting this technique down on arcade stick or on pad, whatever, it's like, I remember the first time I started practicing Perfect Electric. This was in Tekken 5. I was against Beck in practice mode. I think it took me 2 hours to do it once. 2 hours to do that once. And then on pad, I eventually got it to like 80% consistency. But I remember one summer, I think I practiced like 2 hours per day for 3 months. Getting good at this stuff, it's almost like being a fucking UFC guy. I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to compare to our, you know, UFC superheroes. But it is a little bit like, you know, martial arts, where if you want to get good at a specific kick, you got to do it 1,000 times. There's no trick like, oh, turn your hips like this and it's going to be super good immediately. You got to practice it 1,000 fucking times. Or you want to get good at a takedown. Practice it 1,000 times. Everyone wants to hear a secret trick to get good at electrics, wave dash, perfect electric, but it's you just practice it over and over and over and over. And the way I got good at electric is, the way I thought about it was just do it as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. And eventually it became muscle memory. And with down for 2 perfect electric, what I did was, there are some people who say, look at the opponent's knee, that gives you the timing. So you hit down for 2, and then when the left knee hits the ground, the opponent is staggered, as you can see, and then when Azucena's, oh sorry, not left leg, it's a right knee. When that hits the ground, you do the electric. That never did anything for me, never gave me an erection, never gave me any help on this technique. To me, it just sounded like people wanted to sound smart and say something like, oh, you know what you do? Abolishing fist, and look at the knee. Look for the visual cue, and when that hits, oh, it hits, oh, perfect electric. I was like, I can't look for that at all. No, what this turns into is a muscle memory timing thing. You get a feeling for the timing if you practice this. Something that helped me was doing this. Down forward 4 here. But down forward 4 is 13 frames. You get a feeling for how much time you have and when you should start inputting. When I start inputting this down forward 4 is the exact same time I should start inputting my perfect electric. As you can see, as it's 13 frames, it hits standing. Just like we want our electric to do. So this is something I did to just, okay, that's the timing. This is when I start inputting. It's standing. And then I go for the electric. But again, make no mistake, this is the hardest technique in the game. Hardest technique in the game. A lot of people think like, oh, it's tone shit upper. But it just isn't. And I love a tone shit upper. It's a super cool technique. When you do a tone shit upper, they're sort of based on the same principle in that you can't buffer the tone shit upper. So just like the perfect down for abolishing fist perfect electric, you wait for the timing. When do I get to press? You do this with tone shit upper as well. You wait for the tone to connect, and on that very frame, you start your input. So both of these techniques are the same. In that regard, you wait for the exact frame to start the input, right? But then it's just the fact that the perfect electric is a much stricter technique. With the tone shit upper, you go forward, back. No one really drops this part. Forward, back too. You do that frame perfect. Forward, back is easier than doing forward, down, down, forward. It's a more complicated form of execution, and this is why you'll even see the best Mishima players in the world get a down 2 once in a while. This doesn't really happen with jet upper. Brian players will do the jet upper 100%. And it's because it's going forward back is easier than trying to input the crouch dash technique, which is why you'll see even a normal electric, the best Mishima players in the world will sometimes do this or this. I can name multiple Brian players like Low High, VKV, Knee, Jimmy. They will land legit tone shit upper like 20 times in a row in practice mode, and they'll do it more often than not. But so, okay, this turned into a mega tangent, but I was just trying to say that there are no secret tricks to this stuff. It's just hardcore practice. Hardcore practice. I can't tell you how many hours people have put down, like the best Kazuya players, to get good with this stuff. It's absurd amounts of hours.